Welcome to your third challenge. So, for this challenge, what we're going to want to do is explore something we covered in Project 2, and that's animation. So, we have this pretty cool to-do list, but what we actually want to do is make this item removal here. When we click an item, you can see it just pops off the page. We want to make that more interesting. So, we want to add some type of transition or effect to basically make it not just pop off the page. Maybe it could nicely fade out or it could slide up. Those are some of the animations we explored before. Additionally, you could create a custom animation. But let's just have a brief look at the code and talk about where we're going to hook in to actually do this. So if we want to add an animation to the item's removal, you're going to want to hook in right when the item's being removed. It's being removed right here when we're targeting the list item and we're calling remove on it. So in theory, you'd basically want to add an animation right here, right before the item's being removed. But just a hint, if you just kind of chain on an animation there, it's not going to have quite the effect that you want. Those actions are going to happen too quickly in succession to be able to notice any animation. So what are you going to use? Well, you're going to have to use something called a callback function. So let's just take one effect, for example. I have fade out open here. So fade out's one option. You could make the text fade out when it's being removed from the to-do list. And I just want to go to an example here. I had mentioned we're going to use a callback function. So in this case, we're calling fade out, and we've only been working with the first argument here, which is speed. And a second argument can be passed in, and it's called a callback function. This function, as you can see here, will be called when the animation is complete. So it's basically saying, fade out, I've done my job, and I want you to execute this code when my animation is complete. So essentially, we want to use an effect. Fade out is one option. I would encourage you to use something different. And you want to actually use a callback function. In this callback function, what are you going to add? Well, that's where you're going to add the removal. You basically want to have the animation complete and then have the item be removed from the DOM. So just a little hint, because callback functions are new and I wanted you to feel confident getting started with that. And for the second part of this challenge, my favorite part actually, is going to be adding an Easter egg to this project. So it's not a literal Easter egg. If you're not familiar with that term, it's basically kind of like a hidden effect or kind of joke hidden into an application. So there's a funny Urban Dictionary definition linked below, and you can actually see the origin of Easter egg. But for now, let's just talk about what kind of Easter egg we would add to our project. My example that I'll share with you is adding, basically when a specific to-do list item is entered, maybe something funny could happen. So for instance, if we were to type the word dance, instead of appending dance here, we could append a GIF of someone dancing or something silly like that. So basically, it would still be a to-do list item, just having a GIF there instead of the appended text. So once again, if we're going to use an image or GIF, you're going to want to download and include that into your project, create an assets folder if there isn't one already, and then going back to our code, how are we going to do that? We have a special circumstance if one particular line of text is entered. Well, we're going to want to use something we learned, which is a conditional statement. So basically, we can nest our conditional statements here. So we're already checking if there was an item added. And then if there was an item added, we're actually executing this code. But perhaps we'd want to nest another if statement in here to say if the item is equal to, say, dance, or any other text specifically that you want to actually watch for, we can append a different type of element there. Instead of appending the item text that was input, we can append a GIF that we have saved here. So that's my challenge for you. Add an interesting Easter egg to your project that would bring up a GIF or image when a particular to-do list item is added. And add a cool animation to when the items are being removed from the page. And submit your project. We're going to give you feedback, and good luck.